All right, Systems Center Operation Manager Training. Very exciting. You guys ready? All right, so what is Scom? Basically, Scom is what this office uses as a means of pulling together all of our alerts into one console, allowing us to, ease of use and helping us resolve issues quickly. Right here, we have a very specific example of exactly where the SCOM console sits in the help desk area. I'm sorry, service center. This is a picture of the low side. Same thing on the high side. It's on the other opposite end of the wall. This picture details how SCOM's set up. Right here is actually the meat and potatoes of SCOM. It's the RMS server, the root management server. He's the one that basically controls all of SCOM, sets up all the alerts. He sends out all the sets up all the monitors, the rules, sends out all the alerts. Responsible for any sort of configuration changes as well. This guy right here, these two talk to each other, and they actually help share the load between the agents that you actually have deployed out onto the various servers. And that is denoted here with those servers down here. Each server that is actually being monitored actually has an agent on it. And in the back end, the database piece is all SQL. It's a SQL cluster. And we actually have reporting functionality built into SCOM as well, which is denoted here with this report server. And then another piece that actually feeds into SCOM, comes down to the centralization point, is we have all these servers right here that are basically set up as proxies that feed into SCOM. For example, like the Dell management server, it actually pulls information for all the Dell hardware and then feeds it into SCOM. Same thing with we have an ESI, EMC storage integrator service that actually sits on those servers. That pulls in information from all of our storage, like our VNXs, our NS480s, all of our storage appliances, and actually then feeds that also back into SCOM. Same idea with the Veeam. Veeam is specific for our virtual environment. That actually feeds in, does the exact same thing, feeds into SCOM. It's responsible for all of our HBAs and all of our virtual servers and even some of our virtual desktops. It actually alerts on those. So, what is a management group? The easiest thing to do with a management group, I'll show you back here at our awesome quote-unquote live environment here. The easiest thing to denote, this is a management group here. This is actually what our management group name is. It's very hard to see. It's actually just called SES. Management groups really only come in when you have a huge environment and you have multiple management groups that you have to worry about. We have one management group. Root management server, we already went over that. He's responsible. He's the meat and potatoes, the brains behind SCOM. He's the guy who is basically in communication with everything, communication with the database, communication with the majority of the agents. And I already also went over the SQL database. It houses all the data warehouse information with the configuration data for anything related to SCOM. And for your information, these may change in the future, but as of right now, these are your main SCOM servers. VAP 41 and 42 on the low side, 42U on the low side, and on the high side, VAP 41, 42C on the high side. The root management servers for both sides are the 41s. The 42s are basically the other management server that helps share the load between the agents. User roles are just what they are. The user roles to help you define, the different people that you want to give access to SCOM, and give them various different points of access. For example, the operator profile, what we have set up that the help desk actually uses, it actually gives you access to the alerts, views, and tasks. And then our scope is our SESRM servers. any servers that we deem is actually in production and actually needs to be in Scom is that is our scope. We went over this. The operation manager agent, he basically is on every single computer that we want Scom to monitor. There are some exceptions to that. Various, for example, the Veeam agent that we talked about earlier, he actually will query vCenter. So that's actually an example of an agentless. But for the vast majority of all of our servers, they have a operation manager agent on there. That's actually called System Center agent as far as the service goes on the actual server. And they obviously the agents are responsible for dictating or reporting the health of those servers with the various management packs back to the RMS, and the RMS then alerts or informs about what's going on via whether or not it's a critical warning or just informational. Health state shows anything. Obviously, green is good, yellow is a warning, and red is critical. So if you were looking at that specific view that I just showed you, anything in red is something that you want to take a look at. Yellow right now is not deemed as important at this point. Here's an awesome picture of it, nice and blurry. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Obviously, green is good. So this is a responsibility of the help desk. Basically, anything that is critical on the console is something that you want to look at, and then take a look at the product knowledge, and then company knowledge. You want to take a look at when you look at any alert. You always want to look at product knowledge, company knowledge, and the history tab. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have, almost always you're going to have stuff in product knowledge, company knowledge, potentially, and history potentially.
Where does the product knowledge come from?
That is coming from the actual vendor. So that is actually going to give you the most detailed information about how to potentially troubleshoot this issue.
Okay.
So the company knowledge is more site specific. And history is also something that, for example, maybe the help desk could throw some stuff in there about what they've done that should potentially resolve the issue. We'll get into that later. Here's the escalation procedures. We have, looks like really the only difference between normal hours and after hours is on after hours you escalate to tech by calling the person that's on duty, while as normal hours you send an email and notify us.
Yeah, I'd like to emphasize that after hours, if it can't be resolved, we are to call the tech on duty person.
Yes. There you go. And this is just detailing knowledge via company knowledge, product knowledge. It appears as text in the console. I'll go out real quick and just show you, give an example of that. So for example, let's take this guy. Right now we see him, this is specifically on this server, VFS03U. The source is the E drive, and it looks like he's low on free space. And the text that we're talking about, you got this text right here, it's a quick view that you can actually see that we're talking about for product knowledge is already right here. That's what that slide was referring to. To get any alert, you just double click it. And then you got your product knowledge tab, and again, resolutions are a nice thing to have a lot of times. Obviously, for disk space, it says it's clear space with the guest OS file system. Pretty obvious. It helps out. Some of them aren't quite as obvious as that.
But they're not all resolutions that the service center is expected to complete. That would have to be escalated.
I would say that yes, definitely there are some that some that the service center would not be expected to actually fix. I would say some are though.
Yeah.
Like for example, this one could potentially be something the service center could potentially fix. Not saying this one in particular, but space issue could be something that the service center could fix. And then company knowledge, this is something that really either SMEs or an individual dedicated to updating company knowledge could edit this, and you just go in there by editing the actual monitor. I don't think we're going to be able to do it in here because you need a specific plugin to do it. And this is we can. I think I gave her a document on how to do it, but we can go over that again in more detail later if we need to. But there's actually a company knowledge repository right here, and then you hit new. I'm sorry, then you hit edit. This is what I was talking about. Since this is on a server and not on a workstation, we don't have the Visual Studio plugin. So that's typically a nice form would come up and you could fill it out and then hit done and save, and then you get company knowledge in here. And then here's the history tab as well. This is the one we were talking about before. So this will actually give you information about what is been done on this alert already, either automatically by another system or by an individual.
So question, if you're on the help desk and you've checked product knowledge and company knowledge and you're pretty sure that you cannot resolve this alert on your own, should you be sharing this information with the tech team? Was that helpful to copy and paste the history? Or?
I would say any troubleshooting that's already been done is always helpful.
Okay, so sharing that information in the history tab is useful.
Yes.
Okay,
definitely.
great.
Because that way you're not duplicating effort. Yeah, it's really important that you check really all three of those places: the product knowledge, the history, and the company knowledge. Product knowledge, I would say, is primary. Company knowledge is nice to have and could also dictate specific issues with this environment. And history is also good to have just because you don't know what has already been done on the alert. Yeah, this is just showing product knowledge. And then company knowledge is what I just explained, how you can actually go in there and modify and update company knowledge. And I already went over how you could do that. And history as well. So we've already addressed a lot of this, but an alert, it can be anything from a warning to critical, and alerts can actually be very general. They also can be very specific, and there actually can be issues that occur that will generate multiple alerts. And like, for example, if we have a cluster issue, a cluster happens to fail over, a SQL cluster happens to fail over, multiple alerts will be generated for that single event, and that's just because there's a lot of management packs out there that look at multiple aspects of that cluster, anywhere from the SQL side to the IP address of the actual cluster, saying that there's a conflict, and that's just what happens when an actual alert, when a failure event occurs. Yeah, so this is just saying, general information, severity alerts, taking all that into consideration. With this environment, we're telling you to just really look at the criticals at this point. So really, the severity alert is not. That this is more for like general rule of thumb for people that are other environments or just general environments. There is a good thing though about the number of alerts, the times the alert has occurred. If you look in, I'll go back to the console. Over here, there's actually a column that isn't typically here, but it's one that I usually put in here, and that we can go over personalizing the view. But there's a repeat count, and that actually is kind of important for some of these alerts. We've gotten some of these alerts in here that basically it's almost like a storm. We've gotten repeat counts in the tens of thousands because of something's just hammering away, and that's just it's a good thing to look at and just show you that it's definitely still occurring, and that also builds in with the fact of the last modified. The last modified is also a good thing to have in your view as well, because that will tell you if the alert is definitely still current, versus like for example this guy down here, he was last modified a while ago, so this could be a rule that just needs to be clear if it hasn't been. but this guy is pretty current, and also gives the age as well. And right here is typically what the help desk looks at. This is a special view that was created for the help desk. And what this view is basically, you see over here where it has the resolution state. It's basically only viewing anything that's in the new resolution state. So when I click over here, it should only show you the one alert currently. It's actually down here, because I typically don't look at that view, so, but it's down here. That's just it's just not sorted. That's just because I haven't looked at this view. But yeah, so as you can see, he's the only guy that's new, and that's why he's still there. So basically, the idea is when help desk sees these and they either create a ticket or do work on it, they will typically right-click on this guy and set the resolution state to either assign to engineering, one of these, anything other than new or closed. And then that will basically remove it from this view. And that way, at this point in time, let's just say that was done, then, at this point, the help desk doesn't have any critical alerts to look at. So we're good right now. So that's where that comes in. So this alerts view is basically showing you everything. For any of these alerts, you can go ahead and open them. You just right-click on them. You can either do it here and do Health Explorer, or you can actually do it over here as well in the tasks. I typically go here to Health Explorer. And then you can see right here that currently this guy looks like he's still unhealthy. So he actually is still an issue. So at this point, you could either dive into it and attempt to diagnose it and try and fix it. And this is one thing that I could give you an example. So I did this before we came up here. This is an example of an actual heartbeat failure. So this guy right here, you could actually diagnose and actually look at it. It's giving you some ideas of, to check out to see, what could potentially be wrong. Maybe the agent on the server itself is down. Maybe the whole server's down. Typically, when the whole server's down, you'll see 2 alerts per server. So in this case, it's this guy right here, VAP42U. He's the one having the problem right now. You could either go into this and try to verify what the issue is, and try and fix it. And then at that point, since that's a monitor, within the polling interval, it will eventually clear itself from the console view. For something like, let's give you an example of what you were talking about to see the green status. So for this one, you've got Health Explorer here, and he's actually in a green status. So this is what, Kevin, you're referring to. So
Right.
This guy right here, he clearly is good. This is a rule. So basically, this is something that I know specifically. Like if there's an actual SQL job that fails, this is when this thing pops up. So this, for example, you would right-click on this. The help desk would right-click on this guy and set the resolution state to acknowledged. But the one that are still red, those guys are ones that you need to actually diagnose and just to verify that there's not a bigger problem. I can go into that later down the slide. I'll go into actually diagnosing this guy specifically as the lad. Again, we already went over that. And we went over this as well. This is just, to view any details on any alert, you either double-click it or you right-click and go to Properties. And that will pull up that separate window that shows you anything, shows you the product knowledge, shows you the company knowledge, shows you the alert history. And this is detailing what I just said. And these are some tips, general tips, very general tips. Just read everything you can about the product knowledge and the company knowledge, just to to see if anything pops out at you, what could potentially be the issue. This is going over investigation points, just to basically look at it as well as you can, to see if there's anything that could potentially be resolved. or if it's a major issue and needs to, obviously needs all hands on deck. And this is what we went over before. This is, how to look at your Help Explorer. Right click, open Help Explorer, and that's going to pull up all the information on that particular alert. And that's also something we just went over. Obviously, healthy versus not healthy. And this is something that will actually goes back to the changing state point. There's the tab this is also in the Health Explorer. There's a tab right next to it that will actually show you how many times a particular event is, or how many times the health state has changed on this particular monitor, which could be helpful, showing that hey, there's a reoccurring issue with this guy. It's happened, for this guy in particular, it happened 36 times. So obviously something's not happy with that guy. And this is what I referred to before with the heartbeat alerts. Basically, I think it's set, it's set right here. It's set by default. It's set up to happen. There's a heartbeat that goes out to all the servers that have all the agents on them. It's set to go out every 60 seconds and to verify it's up. And if it doesn't get that, it sends that one alert. And then after that happens 4 times, so basically 4 minutes, it'll try to ping the server, and if it can't ping the server, it sends out a second alert. So if a server is down hard, you will have 2 alerts for it. You'll have 2 heartbeat alerts for it. The reason why that, I'll go into it later, but the reason why that you only see 1 alert for that one guy is because the only thing I did was actually turn off the system center service on that server, and so it's still pingable. And that's detailing, when you see both of these, you know that that server's down hard, and that definitely requires escalation.
So you're saying a heartbeat alert and a ping alert?
Yeah, so basically it sends out a heartbeat that says, hey, are you up? It tries to communicate with the system.
Then it'll send another ping alert out.
Yeah, and so after 4 minutes, and this is configurable, obviously, but after 4 minutes, it's going to be like, I can't ping you, you're down hard. I'm going to put this other critical alert up there. There's no...
After hours, for a heartbeat alert,
Mm-hmm.
if someone looks at the company knowledge, generally would restarting or trying to restart a server be the best course of action after hours, or would it be better to escalate it to TAC for a heartbeat error?
For a heartbeat error, like I said, it depends on if it's just the one alert, the first alert.
If you have 2 alerts.
If you have 2 alerts, it's probably best to call tech.
Call tech immediately.
Because I don't think...
Where the service center is not authorized to restart any servers without front office or tech guidance.
And not only that, I do not believe, majority of our stuff are VMs, and I don't believe the help desk has access to any of the virtual center servers. So they couldn't anyways.
Great.
So, yes, it would be good to call. Yeah. What was that? How toss. All right. Again, we what's that?
Now the good stuff.
Yeah. So this is, I probably just, I just kicked the computer. Most of this stuff, I think I've gone over most of this already. This is showing you how to look at an active alert. You obviously want to click it to highlight it, and then read anything in the alert details, or you can double click it to open up the new window, and then you can look at the alert. You look at the product, company, and history tabs.
Well, you just know we have like that one stream like on camera. Can you just go through and do all of those things, like open it up?
Yeah.
Just in like one file swoop.
Yep. So we'll take our friend the heartbeat failure right here. So you got an alert up here. You're like, oh, that's cool. It's an alert. So you double click on this guy. You can either double click, or you can right click and go to properties, and then it comes up with more information. Here's the alert description right here, the alert status. Currently it's set to acknowledge, but typically if it was new, you know, it'd be set to new. So then you go ahead and click product knowledge, you know, go through everything, the summary, causes, resolution. And then you also could, you know, look at the company knowledge. For this one, there really isn't any company knowledge because the product knowledge is so detailed on exactly what the issue is. We didn't feel it necessary to actually put much in there unless it was for like a specific application or something to that effect. And the history tab is showing you what has been done. As you can see, I actually modified it at one point in time I moved it from new to acknowledged. That was how those things are. So it didn't confuse me about it. Is that good? This is something that I already also talked about. When you click on any of the actual alerts, you on the right-hand side is your taskbar, and it gives you any options that you could possibly do with that alert, anywhere from opening up the computer management to pinging the box to restarting some services. And some of them even have the ability to remote into those boxes. It really depends on the alert that's actually present.
Do you think it's necessary to discuss when we would use those tasks for which kind of alerts?
Like I said, it's different for every alert. So, like for example, the heartbeat one, a great one for that is that's the ping. Ping is that's a good one for that. Or even looking at the services, there's actually a services task that you can bring up the services on it, and it's just a quick view and be like, oh look, the system center. This is detailing actually opening up computer management.
When you say services, will it display all the services running on that server?
Yes, yes,
So like all the step services?
yes.
You can do that, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So you actually, it actually is a pretty powerful tool. We don't use it for as much as it could be used for. You know, that's you know, nature of the beast. But you know, it's actually pretty powerful. And it actually does a lot. It can do some automation too. Like for example, just to give you an example of the powerfulness of it, you can for the ops publishing. That's the headache for a lot of people right now. So we actually have Scom right now is actually monitoring those services, the ops publishing services, and if a service goes down, it'll actually Scom will attempt to restart it.
It does that for the step services.
And exactly, it does it for
Yeah.
steps as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it does it for steps as well. So we actually, Scom does take some proactive steps.
Okay.
But again, those have to be dictated by either dev or the office itself and what we want to do and how we want to do it. So this is helpful. This is helpful with this is helpful when you're filling out a ticket, especially. We'll use this guy again.
You're getting it from the monitor station.
So yeah, so basically this task, this how-to, you click on the alert that you're creating the ticket on or whatever, and then you click down here on the alert details, you just do a Control A, and that selects everything, and then you just do a Control C, or actually it doesn't let you copy on this one, so you just do a Control C, and then as an example, I'll just show you. You know, there it is. So you go Control V to paste it in, and there's all your details. You can throw that in the ticket.
Just from what you mentioned, I just want to reiterate that, you know, the monitors are up high, but every workstation in the service center has Scom loaded, and they should be able to run it and see it on their own workstations.
Yes. Cool. And then the thing that's important to note is this column right here. This is the maintenance mode column. So if anybody ever has anything, if you ever see this, we'll go. This is how you start maintenance mode on alert. If you ever see this, really the help desk should not be worried about that. That right now is telling the help desk that, hey, or sorry, the service owner, that this alert is to be ignored. Tech is working on it, or it's a known issue, or whatever. So that's another thing. That is something that the service center could do, like say, especially on call, if they call up and say, hey, this server's down. They, oh yeah, we forgot to put that in the maintenance mode. Could you guys go ahead and do that for us? That's something you could do. So how to do that, and I just went over that, but you would go into this guy, and you would say, you would go to maintenance mode right here, and you'd hit start maintenance mode. And when you get into there, it can give you the number of minutes you want to do it for. You can give it a specific end date. You know, you could go out years if you wanted to. That'd be kind of silly. At that point, you just get rid of the agent. But you could do whatever you want, and then that will throw the maintenance mode up there. And then to actually get rid of the maintenance mode or to modify the maintenance mode, you did edit or you just hit stop, and then that takes it back out, and it's going to come up with warning. You hit yes, and then that will go away. And you can just with this guy. Maintenance mode. Stop. Yes. There you go. So that does that.